Hello everyone, good evening, good morning, I would say. Uh, I welcome you all to the C++ session organized by Engineers Gurukul, right? So sorry for delaying the session for half an hour. So now without wasting any time, I will begin with the session for today, and the topic for today which we need to cover is friend function. We have already done the topic of inline function day before yesterday. Now we'll be doing a topic based on friend function. Okay, so what is friend function? Uh, if you can just read these lines, it will be very good for me to explain you in a better way, right? And if you have any kind of doubts to ask, okay. So what is friend function? So if a function is defined as a friend function in C++, then the protected and private data of a class can be accessed using the function. Okay. So now before beginning this friend function, let me ask you one thing, that are you clear with what is inline function? Yes, can I get your answers please? Are you clear with what is inline function? I hope everybody is present in the session and they are active too. Yes or no? Okay. So if you are listening to the session, it's good. If you are not, then please listen to the audio videos later on, because I cannot waste time in asking you things again and again. So next comes, let's start with the practical session to explain you the topic of friend function. Let me just open up a project. Okay. This was the topic which we did for this inline function. Making one this program in front of you, right? And I'll expect you all that please you read this program very carefully and try to execute it on your laptops side by side. So starting with the program, file stream using namespace std, right? Then I say I'm having one class, right? This is a class called complex. Okay. Now I am creating one variable. This is a private variable. Then I am creating some functions. These are the public functions, member functions. Okay. So I say void set data, and this is used to set the values of A and B. If I'm saying complex class, this class is used to take input from the user in the form of complex number, and you know that complex number has two parts, real and imaginary part. So X stands for real part and Y stands for imaginary part. Okay, so I say A is equals to X. This example we have already done. I just want to just make the changes in the same example so that we can understand better the concept of this friend function also. Then I have void show data. A equals to A and B equals to This is you're showing your data. Then I'm having my main function out of the class. I say this is my any get here function. Okay, I've not created any object till now. Now, in this case of this for complex class, in this case of complex class, if I want to create, if I want to take input from the user and I want to print the output in the form of this function, this void function or your function, what we do is we normally create the variables AB and then we create two functions, set function, set data and show data. And if I want to use here create a object complex and I say C1, let's give me as small C1 dot show, so I set data is 2 and 5. Okay, then I say C1 dot show data. Okay, so this is like a basic program to take input from the user of a complex number, or a basic program to take a complex number from user as an input and print it on the screen. I try implement. I save it. I save it. I say build and run. Oh, as no members in set data. Okay, the function name is different, so that is why it's giving me error. Just give me 1 second, please. Sorry for the inconvenience caused. I'm starting my session again. Okay, so I welcome you all back, and the topic which we need to do today is called as friend function. So before beginning with the friend function, let me start with the practical session so that it will be more clear to you. So I'm having one program in front of you. This is the complex class. It is having two variables a and b, right? And there's a session. There's a two functions are there: set data and show data, right? Now these two functions are used to set the value into this complex class, and this is to show the values of a and b, right? So I'm having one main function. In that main function, I'm creating one object class C1, complex C1. C1 dot set data is used to set pass data to this complex class. It is 2 and 5. It will be showing me the value of that 5. So if I run this program, show data. The name of the function is capital. It's taking time to execute because of some slow execution. So let it be completed. So by the time it's executed, let me tell you what is a friend function. Okay. So let me just creating one. It's not an error, Arduino. It's executing. So let me tell you what is a friend function. First of all, there's some basic statements which we need to understand. Now it says that friend function. So this is the output. Friend function is not a function of class it is a friend. Okay, so if I take a layman example of friend, you know that what is a friend? A friend is any person. You have a friend. A friend is that person who doesn't stay with you, who doesn't live in your house, but he comes from outside. Okay, he is called as part of your life, but again he stays outside. He doesn't stays with you, right? Similarly, if I talk in technical language, friend function is not a member function. Now, what is a member function? All the functions which are declared in the class are called as member function. Okay, so friend function is first of all not a member function. It is not declared in the class. Okay, but it is a part of the class. By how? Because it is a friend of that class. Okay, so what is a friend function? A function which is a friend of a class is called as friend function. Okay, second point says friend function, or right here, it is declared in the class with friend keyword. Now, though my friend function is not a part of a class, it is not a member of the class, but I have to declare it in the class with the help of friend keyword. Okay. It must be defined. See, the body of the friend function is always defined outside the class. So it must be defined outside the class which it is. The body of the friend function is always defined outside the class, right? Okay, now let me tell you how. So this was my program. I'll just execute again for you because we couldn't see the output. So I build it and I run it. It says A is equals to 2 and B is equals to 5. So this is the value which we passed it, right? Now see, I am saying I have to make a friend function of the class complex. Any function which is a friend function for the class complex. So what is my first target? What is my first step? My first step is to declare the friend function. Now to declare the friend function, what we do? We use a keyword friend, or let's suppose I create a function void fun. Okay. Now this void fun function is a member function. Why it's a member function? Because it is declared inside the complex class. But if I write here friend keyword, it is not no more than a member function. It becomes which function? It becomes a friend function because it is being prefixed by a keyword called as friend. Okay, so this is the declaration of the, I would say this is the declaration of the friend function, right? Now, if I have to define this friend function, if I have to create this body of the friend function, I have to do just immediately after the class complex, outside the class complex. So I write here void fun. Okay, void fun. Now why I am writing here void fun? Because this is the body of the class. Okay, and here I will define the body of it. See, I will not define the body, so I will remove here semi spaces. I just declare it. So right here void fun. Okay, if you can see it very carefully while declaring the body of the void function, I'm not using the keyword friend. Why? Because it's automatically being declared inside the class with the keyword friend, so there is no need to declare it again. Yes. And secondly, we do not have to use the membership operator. Like I do not have to write here. You can say A. Sorry, not A. It's complex because name of the class is complex. Complex scholar. There is no need to write the membership scope. Why? Because this function, the declaration of the function is already done inside the complex, so there is no need. See, if this function is a member function, then we have to declare its scope. But since it is a friend function, there is no need to declare its scope. So I'll just remove this. Okay. This is the second thing. Now, the third thing which I want to tell you is that how do we call this function? How do we call the friend function in the main class? See, when I call the friend function in the main class, I simply write name of the function. Okay, I simply write name of the function. I will not use the caller object. That means I will not write like this. I repeat, I will not use caller object. Your caller object could be C1. Right? So caller object is not required to call the function. I will simply write fun here. So that is the simple thing. Okay. So this is the three things which I need to tell you for friend function. The next thing which I want to tell you is that it can, that means a friend function can access any member of the class which it is friend. Okay, it cannot directly members of the class. Okay, and third thing which I've just told you, it has no caller object. That means no particular object will call the friend function. It is being called automatically. Okay, and it should not be defined with membership variable. That means while defining the body of that friend function, there is no you need to write the class name and the scope resolution operator. There's no need of membership label. So this point says it can access any member of the class to which it is friend. See, your friend function can access any member of the class. It could be private, it could be protected, it could be. Sarvesh, I'll tell you why do we need friend function. Your friend function can access any member of the class. It could be private, it could be protected, it could be public. But if I talk about a member function, if I talk about any function which is outside the class, let's suppose it is not a friend function. Let's suppose it is a normal function, void function, right? And this function, void function, is outside a class. It is not a friend function. It is not even a member function. So if I from this, if I want to print cout A, can I do so? Can I do so? No, because this function, this fun function, is not a part of a complex. It is not a member of complex class. So it cannot access the private member of the class, that is A. A is a private member of the complex class, right? So through this function fun, which is not a member of this complex class, we cannot access the private members directly. But with the help of friend function, we can do so. So if I write a friend, we can do so. But again, we cannot access directly. So we have to access via some other way. So that will be, I'll be telling you why with the help of the program which we are going to do right now. Okay. So let's do the same program. So I am having the friend function and the name of the function is fun. Okay. I have declared this function inside the class. I am going to call this function outside the class. I say cout sum is, right? So I say A plus B. Okay. So I want to do the sum of A plus B, right? So since it is a friend function, so as I've just told you that a friend function can access any members of the class. So A and B belongs to which class? Complex class. So by that definition, my friend function fun can access A and B. Okay. But here you can see that A and B are what? They are private members. So we cannot access directly. Why we cannot access directly? See, let me tell you. This A and B is a part of which function? It is a part of set data function. Yes, where we are using A and B. A and B are used in set data function, right? Now set data function is called by which object? Set data function is called by which object? See, if I see this main function, set data function is called by C1 object. See, if I write here, just go like this. So I am saying I want to add the values of A and B. The values of A and B are taken from where? They are taken from set data function. Now who is giving the value of X and Y, that is A and B, to set data function? It is given by object C1. Yes or no? Yes or no? Can I get your answers, please? Yes. So the value of A and B, that is, it is taken from set data function, and the value of X and Y is given by C1 object, right? 2 and 5. But are we mentioning inside function that it is of object 2 and 5? Yes or no? Are we mentioning while calling the function, while calling this function fun, am I mentioning that the data should be of C1, 2, 5? See, let's suppose I'm having another object C2, okay? And I say C2 dot set data 4, 3, 6, okay? Is it clear? So how many objects are there? How many objects are there? There are two objects, C1 and C2. My function fun is saying add A plus B. So which value of A and B should be added? Either it would be 2, 5 or 3, 6. Is it clear to the compiler? Yes or no, please? See, to the set data function, we are passing two values. One is 2, 5 and there is 3, 6. So my fun function is going to add which values? 2, 5 or and 3 or 6. बच्चे किसको ऐड करेगा? 2, 5 को या 3, 6 को? Tell me please. It will add 2, 5 or 3, 6. What do you think? Is it a confusion or it's clear? Yes, please. It's a confusion. Because when we call fun function, I am not telling fun function. When my compiler runs the statements, compiler does not know fun has to add the values of C1 or the values of C2. So what we do, we call the friend function here by writing the object name, that is C1. Okay? We call the friend function by writing the object name, that is C1. So is it clear now? Is it clear now? Okay. So now my function is clear. Fun function is clear that I have to add the arguments of C1. That is, I have to add 2 and 5. Right? Now when the control goes here, again, if I'm using here C1, just a second, please. If I'm using here, if to my function fun, I'm passing an argument C1. This C1 is of which type? It is of complex type, right? So the definition of the function should also be, declaration and definition of the function should also be having one argument. So I need to write here, input argument is of which type? It is of complex type. Here also, input argument is of which type? It's of complex type and the argument is C. Okay. So here I write C dot A and C dot B. Okay. Any doubt in this? Any doubt in this to anybody? Can I get your answers, please? I need to move ahead for the next topic. Okay. Vikanta, we have taken C because C, when we are calling this function fun, we are passing one argument C1. C1 argument is of which type? It is of complex type. C1 is an object which is of which type? Complex type. So when I'm calling a function with one argument, I need to make changes to its declaration also. So here I write friend void function, and the argument will be of which type? Complex type. Okay. Similarly, when I declare the body, I say complex. This is the return type, and this is the name of the object, name of the argument, that is C. Right. So what are the values passed by C1? The control goes here, right? So I say C. C is of which type? C is the input argument, that is, see, we cannot write here C1. Because if I write here C1, I have to declare the C1 as from outside. Okay? So I say I take a general term, that is C. Because if I write here C1, this function void fun will be specific for C1 only, C1 object only. But if I want this function should also run for C2, then I have to take a general variable, that is C. So I say the value of C1 of the value of A by C1 is what it is 2. The value of B by C1 is 5, right? So I say C dot A, both A and B are passed to this C. So C dot A, that is 2, plus C dot B, that is 5. Is it clear now? So this is like a basic definition what is a friend function. Okay. So this is the basic definition of your set function. And how we are accessing the private members? The private members A and B are accessed by the friend function, this friend function, friend fun function, with the help of caller object C1. Okay. So we cannot access directly, but we access with the help of caller object C1. So this is the use of friend function. Okay. Now, next is the next. I'm going to tell you the advantages of friend function one by one. So the very first advantage of friend function. This is just the basic use of friend function. Now let me tell you what is the advantages of friend function. So I'll be telling you 3 advantages side by side. So the very first advantage is friend function can become friend to more than one class. Okay? Friend function can become friend to more than one class. Now let's see how it is possible. So let me take one more example. So right, I'll just remove this. Okay, so I'll just remove this program. I'll be using one more program to just tell you that how friend function can be friend to more than one object. So what I'm doing is I'm creating here 2 classes, class A, right? And then I'm having one more class, class B. Okay. Inside class A, I'm having one variable which is called as private A, right? And here in class B, I'm having one variable as private B. Okay. Now, to set the value of A, I'm using one function, which is a public function. Data. And I say X, right? And I say A equals to X. Same I'll create it for B also. But here I'll change the arguments. I'll write here Y and I say B is equals to 1. Okay. So this is the 2 programs I'm creating, 2 classes I'm creating. Now I'm creating one function, that is your void. Suppose it is add, okay, okay. This is one add function. It's outside the classes, both class A and B, whose task is to add the values of or print the sum of A and B. A and so the value of A will be taken from class A and the value of B will be taken from class B. So assume you can see that there's a function add whose task is to take A from class A, take B from class B and add them together and print the output. Okay. So since this is outer function void add, right? Now this void add function will be friend of both class A and B. Why it will be friend of class A and B? Because it has to take A from class A and B from class B. Okay, so what I will do, I will make it as a friend function of both the classes. How? I'll write here friend add, okay, add, let me stick it as and it will take argument for both the classes, so that is why I have to write here A and similarly I'll be writing here friend add any doubt to anybody in this? Any doubt to anybody in this, please? Now, since this function A and B, friend function add is going to take two arguments, one from A and second from B, I have to mention here the input argument. So I'm writing here A and OP O1 and from class B take argument 2. So first argument will be from which class? A class, and second argument O2 will be from which class? B class. That means O represents A and B represents O2 represents B. So since I'm calling O1 as A, so I have to write here O1 dot A, and I have to call O2 from B, so I have to write here O2 dot. Now let me create the main function so that I can create the objects of both the classes and call the void function. So I call here void then I create an object for class 1, class A, object 2 for class B. I say object 1 dot set data is 2, right? Object 2 dot set data and then I'm calling function, and in this I'm saying the arguments of the function are object 1 comma so what will happen here now? See what will happen here now? See, I am creating one object A of type A. I'm creating one object 2 of type B. Object 1 is going to call set data function, right? From which class? A class, because object 1 belongs to which class? A class. So I'll be moving to A class here, right? And here I'm saying, please pass 2. So what would be passed here? 2 will be passed and A becomes here 2. Okay. Similarly, I say object 2 dot set data. Object 2 dot set data. So what it will be doing? It will call the set data function of its class B, and it will pass 3 into y. So b is equals to y. So b becomes here 3, right? Then I say function object 1 comma object 2. So we are going to go to this function add. See, it's not function, it's add because the name of the function is add here. So right here. So I'm going to go to this definition add obj1, obj2. I go there. I say take first argument from which class? A class. It will be taking A from A class. Take first second argument O2 from which class? B class. So B will be taken from B class. Then I say O1 dot A plus O2 dot B. So this will be the perform. If I run this program, it does not type. Oh. Let me just clear the screen. Okay, so it's giving me error. It says int A is private. So what is the error here? What do you think? See, when the let's suppose when my program executes this compiler executes the program, so it will execute class A, like it executes line by line. So it starts from class A and moves to void main function. It will execute class A, go to private int A, then this, right? When it comes to friend void A, void add. Now in this case, I'm having add. Okay, I know what is A, class A, but what is class B? See, class B is defined after this declaration, this statement. So compiler doesn't know what is class B at this point of time. So it will give you error. So what I have to do, I have to just declare class B before class A. So I write here class. It's error within this context. There is no context for the class. That is why it's giving you error. Mail must be done again. I always forget to write the mail. So this is the program. It says sum is 5. Okay. Now the sum is 5 printed by which function? Add function, which is your friend function. Any doubt to anybody in this? Yes, any doubt to anybody in this program? How we can make a one function add friend to two classes, class A and class B. Is it clear to all? Yes, please. Okay. I hope everybody is listening to the class. Abhishek, Aniket. Okay, the next advantage of friend function is that we can perform the overloading of operators as friend function. Now, I hope you remember the concept of operator overloading. I hope you remember the concept of operator overloading, and we can also overload the operators in the form of friend function. How we can do so? Let's see here. Project. Okay, so this is my function operator program. So I'll just make changes into the same program. I'll not waste more time in that. See, I'm having a class. Please, everybody, see the screen carefully. I'm having a class complex, and in that I'm taking two variables, A and B. Okay, and I say there's a function set data which sets the value of both the variables. Similarly, I say cout B is equals to B, right? So let me remove this because I'll be writing it for you. Then, okay. So when I'm having one object class C1, okay, and there is class 2 object for second complex number, and there is C3 for printing the output of C1 and C2. I need to add them. Okay. So I say here C1 dot set data 3,4. I think we have already done this, so if you will be carefully reading this, you will be able to recall what we did earlier. So this is 5,6, right? And then I say C3 is equals to C1 and C1 plus C2, right? And then I say C1 dot, sorry, C3 dot show data. I want to see the sum of data. Okay, so this was my basic program. Now, what is this program all about? Having one function, complex number C1, which is 3 plus 4 iota, right? And I'm having one complex number C2, which is 5 plus 6 iota. I want to perform C1 plus C2 into C3. That is 3 plus 5 is 8 and 4 plus 6 is 10 iota. This is what I want as an output. Okay, so I am calling first C1 dot set data, which will set the values of A as 3 and B as 4. C2 dot set data, which will set the value of A as 5, right, and B as 6. Then I say C3 is equals to C1 plus C2, right? Now in this case, you know that if I run this, it will going to give me error. Why? Because my compiler knows how I can add integer values. I can add integer values. But here in this program, C1 and C2 are both the values of which type? Complex type. So my compiler doesn't know how to add the complex values. So what I have to do? I have to perform the operator overloading here. That means I have to create a new definition of plus operator for which type of objects? For complex type of objects. So how I can do that? First of all, I have to rename this function. Now this function is also called as, the definition of this function is C3 is equals to C1 dot operator, and then the operator is plus, and then I say C2. Okay, this is also C1 plus C2 is also called this in this form. What does this means? My function C1, my object C1 is calling which function? Plus function. Plus is an operator here. Plus function, and taking C2 as argument. Okay, so C1 is the caller object of which function? Plus function, and taking C2 as argument. And after adding C1 and C2, the output will be returned to C3. And then I will say C3 dot show data. So for this, I need to create one function. So I'm creating one function here. Okay, this function will be complex operator plus, and if you don't remember the concept of operator overloading, please listen to the lectures of that. So I'm having complex C, this is the function. In this, I'll define the body of the function. So I write here complex. I take a variable temp here. Temp dot A is equals to A plus C dot A, right? And temp dot B is equals to C P plus C dot B. And what I need to return? Return temp. Okay. This is the function of operator overloading. If I run this, C3 was not, I need to put here semicolon. So if I run this, I get the output as 8. A is equals to 8 and B is equals to 10. This is what we expect. So A is equals to 8 and B is equals to 10. So this is called as operator overloading, right? If you don't remember this, I request you that please see the videos of operator overloading lecture, and you will be reminding the concept again. Okay. So this is what we have already done earlier. Now I want to make this plus operator as a friend function. So what I'll do, I will just remove this. Okay. Here I will define the only declaration of the friend function. So what I write here, inside class I write here friend complex. Name of the function is operator. Okay. And it will define plus complex comma a semicolon. I create a function. Okay, this is my function, and the body is complex x, comma complex y, and in its body I will be defining the task, same task which I need to do here. Okay, but let me just write it over here and define that function as a comment. See, if you see the previous example, previous complex operator plus operator function, you see the new friend plus operator function which we have made a friend function, there is a difference. The difference is that, see, when we call normal C3 is equals to C1 plus C2 without making my plus as a friend function, the definition will be like C3 is equals to C1 dot operator plus C2, right? Why? Because we know that this plus operator will be part of which function? It will be part of class function. Yes or no? This class function, this complex operator is a part of class function. So whatever variable we pass in the form of C2 will be the input argument. And who is calling this function? Operator function. The function is called by C1. So there is a caller object. There is a caller object behind it. So who is calling this plus function? C1 is calling this first function. But if I talk about the friend function, I have just told you there is no caller object of friend function. Rather, there is no caller object of friend function. Rather, what we do, since there is no caller of friend function, so what I will write here, I will write the definition like this. I'll write C3 dot operator. How many values do I want to add? I want to add C1 and C2. So I have to pass both the values as the arguments. Okay. Okay. Is it clear to all the difference between normal function and the friend function? This is for friend function. Why it is for friend function? See, it is for friend function because with the friend function there is no caller argument. Here we are writing C1 dot operator. C1 dot operator plus C2. Now here C1 is calling C2, but in this case C3, in the second definition, the friend function is not being called by anyone. Rather, the arguments which we want to add C1 and C2, we need to write in the braces as an input argument to friend function. So that is why when I am using this definition, that is C1 and C2 are the input arguments, I need to write the definition of the friend function like this. I write complex operator plus complex x comma complex y, right? And similarly, if I am writing here complex x, so I have to write here x dot a and y dot a, right? X is for C1, y is for C2. Okay, so I have to write here x dot a and plus y dot a. Similarly, x dot b and y dot b. So is it clear? So this is how we can overload a operator, perform the operator overloading with the help of friend function. But earlier it was like this. The definition was like this, and now I'm taking only one argument, normal operator overloading. But in case of friend function operator overloading, I have to take two arguments because I don't have any caller object in this case. So this definition applies to, the second definition applies to friend function, and the first definition of the C1 plus C2 applies to normal member function. So I run this. So the output is A is equals to 10 and B is equals to 10. Is it clear? In the previous program, it was normal operator overloading, but in this case, this program, it is friend function operator overloading. Is it clear to all? Yes, is it clear to all? Please respond yes or no. Okay. Now, the next advantage of friend function is that member function of one class can become friend function of another class. See, in case of normal type, if there is a function which is a member function of one class, it can become the friend function of the another class. So how we can do this? Let's see here practically. So let me just open it up. Right. So let me just tell you that how a member function of one class can become the friend function of the other class. So let's see here. Okay, I'm having the same. Suppose I create two classes first of all. Now in case of class A, I create one function, public void function, and it has some body. So write it like a body. Okay. Now this is the member function of class A, right? Now I want that this member function should be part of, this should be a part of friend function of class B, right? So inside class B, I write here friend void function, right? Yes or no? Is it correct? See, I'm creating one function, void function. In class A, I want this function should be the friend of which class? It should be friend of class B. So I call that function. So I write a friend void function, right? So this function, the body of this function is inside the class A. Okay. So this is called as friend function, but it is not clear. See, if I write a void function and I'm having one function outside it, so I have one function. It is also having same statement. Let's suppose it is having some statement. And this function, outer function, which is not a part of class A, it is also having the body hello. Okay. Now when I make fun function, right? Let's add. So if I say that print is a friend function of class B. Now, is my compiler clear that which print function we are talking? Are we talking to, are we referring to this print, that is a print function in class A, or we are referring to print function of class outside the classes? So what do you think? What do you think? This print function means which function? Is it a this function or this function? Anybody who can answer me? Is it clear to the compiler that which print function we are talking about? We are talking about a print function of class A or a print function which is not a member function of any class. So it is outside every classes. So is it a confusion? Yes or no? So how will the compiler comes to know that we want to make this print or this print as a member function friend of class B or this print as a member of class B? See, if I do not write here anything, if I simply write friend void print, in this case, by default, who is the friend? We are referring to this function. Okay? We are referring to function outside the classes. But if I want that this print should be the function which is belonging to class A, in that case, what will I write? I'll write void class name and scope resolution operator. Is it clear? Void class name and scope resolution operator. Now in this case, it is clear that with this A and scope resolution, it is clear that this print function belongs to which class? It belongs to class A. It is the body of this print function lies in which class? It lies in class. Is it clear to all now? Is it clear to all now? Yes or no, please? So we need to write here A and scope resolution operator to let the compiler know that this print function is which function, whether it is of class A or it is a normal print function. So this is all about print function. If anybody is having any doubt in print function, they can let me know. If anybody is having any doubt in print function, they can let me know, please. Okay, so with this, I end up for now session, right now session. Okay, I'll be meeting you back on at 5 o'clock in the evening, right? And we'll be doing a new topic called as virtual function and polymorphism. I'll try to finish the topic completely, okay? And so if you have any doubt on friend function, you can let me know and